Audi and Quattro goes together like fish and chips, bread and butter, Torval and Dean. This winning combination has delivered multiple World Rally Championships and some spectacular supercars. Things such as the Audi R8 behind me, for example. Although this particular R8 is a bit different because it takes all of that hard-earned Audi Quattro history and nostalgia and throws it out the window. Audi first fired up the Quattro in motorsport during the 1980s to take advantage of the new rallying rules that allowed for all-wheel drive entries. The now legendary Quattro set about redefining international rallying and brought about the revolution that would see all of its competitors move away from rear-wheel drive. Every high-performance Audi road car has possessed Quattro since. Well, until now. It might look like a regular Audi R8 to the casual observer. In fact, you've got to be a bit of an anorak to really spot the tiny little details that denote this as something different. It still has that river pebble shape of a mid-engine car, those chiselled looks which make it oh so Audi, and some of the most correct proportions of any supercar out there. No, the thing that really gives this car away are those three distinctive letters at the end of its name. RWS, standing for Rear Wheel Series. That's right, this car sends all 533 brake horsepower to the rear wheels and ditches Quattro all-wheel drive. Now, whilst it inevitably loses some of that mechanical grip that all-wheel drive offers, this more driver-focused car benefits from being 50 kilos lighter at the nose, making it more enjoyable into corners and far keener through them. It doesn't feature the gadgets and gizmos of other R8s, including adaptable suspension. Throw in stiffer anti-roll bars and what you have is an Audi that's directly aimed at the driving enthusiast and not those who simply want or can afford a fast Audi. It's definitely not a hardcore Audi R8 because ultimately it still rides quite well, it's high enough for speed bumps, it's quite cosseting, and to be honest on the motorway feels a little bit like an Audi TT. But what you do get is better communication through the wheel to the driver, which is definitely something that was lacking in the previous car. There's still loads of grip, and on wet, windy or rainy days you do have to be a bit mindful of the fact that all the power goes to the rear, but there's plenty of grip to exploit in this car. But the number one thing that dominates this Audi experience, just as it does every other, that glorious 5.2 litre, naturally aspirated V10 engine. It's just fantastic. Sadly a dying breed, but that wall of torque will get you from 0 to 62 miles per hour in just 3.7 seconds and onto a top speed of 197 miles per hour. You sit here cocooned in the rest of the Audi cabin, which is beautifully fit and finished, the conductor of a 10-cylinder orchestra. You can use this 7-speed gearbox to skip back and forth through greatest hits that include bassy rumbles all the way up to that V10 howl high up in the rev range. In today's world of forced induction, it's a minor miracle that this engine exists whatsoever, but boy, am I glad it does, because it is the thing that separates this car from any McLaren or Ferrari. No one can match the noises that this thing makes. When you sit down and take a minute to put on your reasonably sensible trousers and think about what the perfect car in reality is, surely it's the thing that sends a tingle down your spine whenever you're traversing some of the finest roads tarmac has to offer, but also the one that cossets you after a long hard day when you just want to go home. I think there's a strong argument that the Audi R8 is one of the few cars out there that ticks all of those boxes. The RWS is arguably the best version of the Audi R8, and better still, it's actually the cheapest at just over £112,000. It's the four-wheeled embodiment of less truly being more, and its one of 999 status should mean it will become a collector's item in the near future.